Have you ever been to an intense football game and just watched the behaviors of each football player? If you carefully watch them, you'll notice that the second the offensive team gets the ball in their hands, their opposing team becomes defensive and puts up a block. The defensive team puts up a guard and will do anything it takes to defend their team. Similar to a game of football, we as communicators are like players on the field. The end zone is our feelings, and once something opposes us or threatens to score in our end zone, we put up a guard and do anything to defend ourselves. Today, I'll be discussing the findings of researcher Jack Gibb on the 6 categories of defensive and supportive behaviors that we use while communicating. Through taking this communications class and through detailed research, I've come to learn and understand these 6 behaviors, and I have realized how much they impact my own communication skills throughout my life. The first type of behavior that arouses defensiveness is evaluating. Evaluating consists of saying judgmental statements about others, and this is titled the you language. The you language consists of people saying all the things that you did wrong or the way that you make them feel. One example of this would be a football player yelling at the football coach yelling at the players on the field. One way to counteract evaluating is using description. Description consists of speakers' thoughts and feelings, and it focuses more on the I language. When people use the I language, it's more, when you do this, I feel this way, and this is why I am frustrated. Next, the second behavior that arouses defensiveness in individuals is control. People don't like to feel controlled, and control consists of imposing any sort of feeling of any disregard towards others and what they think and feel. There's no concern about their own opinions and thoughts. People can gain control over anything that you do, whether it's how you do your hair or what movie you're going to go see or what you eat for dinner that night. One resolution to control is having a problem orientation. A problem orientation is having an outlook that we need to meet both of our needs instead of just one of ours. And this is more of a we language where we have to work at this together. It's not just one of us dominating over the other. An example of this would be saying something like, it looks like we have a problem, let's figure out a solution that works for both of us. Following this, the third defensive behavior is strategy. Strategy consists of deceiving others and hiding information so that you manipulate them and their thoughts. When people are using strategy, it's kind of hurtful and makes people feel naive. And one way to respond to strategy is using spontaneity. Now, spontaneity is being honest and being very straightforward with others and just saying things straight out. But also, you don't want to blurt out what is coming to your mind right away. With spontaneity, there also comes a lot of monitoring on what is proper and appropriate to disclose at that certain time. A fifth behavior that causes defensiveness while communicating is neutrality. Neutrality is when people show a lack of concern or a lack of care about somebody. When people have a neutral opinion, it may not always be intended this way, but a lot of times it can be taken as that the other person is worthless and their opinions don't matter very much. And this can be very, very hurtful. But one way to contrast neutrality is through empathy. So with empathy, you have to put yourself in the other person's shoes and see how they would feel. With empathy, you have to recognize their thoughts and feelings and acknowledge them. An example of this would be saying something like, I know that this means a lot to you, or I know that you worked really hard on something. A fifth behavior that stimulates defensiveness is superiority. Superiority is portraying any type of feeling or speech that describes that they're better than somebody else. I don't know about you, but I hate it when people feel like they're superior to me. So one way to counteract this is through equality. When people express a feeling of equality, they make sure that the other person knows that their opinions and their thoughts and their feelings matter just as much as theirs do. Equality is practiced by saying things like, I see this in a different perspective, but you see it in this way. Or I found that this is what works for me, this is what may work for you. The last defensive behavior that Jack Gibb mentions is certainty. Certainty is any type of attitude or action or words that portray that someone is positive that they are right. I don't know if you ever had somebody like a know-it-all at school, but I hated those know-it-all people because they make you feel so inferior to them. People that portray certainty need no additional information or no outside opinions. They think that whatever they have to say is right. A supportive behavior to respond to certainty is provisionalism. When you respond with provisionalism, you have to be willing to acknowledge others' opinions and realize that there's other things that you can think just besides your own thoughts. Also, people that respond with provisionalism have to be willing to listen to others' opinions, and if they realize that the other person's opinion is more reasonable, they have to be willing to switch their own position. People that use provisionalism respond with words such as perhaps, possibly, maybe, might, could. In conclusion, there are many behaviors that can reduce defensiveness in communication, but there are also many behaviors that can support them and counteract this feeling. When communicating, it's important that you describe your feelings instead of just evaluating the person and chastising them. It's also important that you don't try to gain control over somebody else, but that you have a problem orientation and you're concerned about both of your opinions and working it out what's best for both of you. It's important to use proper strategy instead of using strategy to deceive people and manipulate them in their thoughts, to be honest with them instead and be very straightforward, but also don't be bluntly rude or blurt out what's on your mind. It's important to not be neutral about things. Show that you care and that you're concerned about them, and show empathy for them. Let them know that you care and that if something means a lot to you, that you know that. It's important also that you don't act superior to others. Make sure that they know that you are equal with them and their opinion matters just as much as yours does. Lastly, make sure that you do not respond with certainty. Respond with provisionalism and make sure that they know you are willing to listen to them and to be able to change your opinion to theirs if it's more reasonable. All these behaviors have really helped me throughout my life, and they have altered and changed the way that I both approach people and respond to people in my communications, and it's really benefited me throughout my life. Similar to a game of football, with communication we can't always win. It takes a lot of time, practice, and hard work. Do what it takes to defend your team and help them make that first touchdown. It might take you a couple of tries. You might have to figure out a couple different strategies. You might come out with a couple bumps and bruises in the end, or you might have to make a whole new game plan. But in the end, every one of your efforts will be worth it for both you and your team. Thank you.